Hi there, welcome this evening. So I'm going to be preparing two of our pasta sauces tonight. I wanted to have both of these ready because I find them really versatile. It's always good to have a jar of marinara or pasta sauce in the fridge because whether you're throwing this together with pasta or with some vegetables, it's very handy to have. And the other thing is pesto. And pesto in a jar like this is fantastic because I can mix up a half cup at a time. Usually I would buy like the giant Costco size and eventually it would go bad before I would finish it. But being able to mix it up like this in just a few minutes is really, really handy. So whether you're a pesto or a tomato sauce kind of person, or you can mix the two together. You can mix the pesto or the tomato base into your Alfredo sauces, or so many different things you can do with these really. So I'm gonna start by doing the pesto first. The reason for that is because I need to have it soak for a few minutes. So in this jar, like I said, this makes a half cup at a time, or you can make a larger batch. I like to use the pesto on my fish, so I put it on top of salmon and bake it. But I also like it with spaghetti squash or on pasta. So to make this, I'm going to start out by taking 2 tablespoons of the sauce. So I have one of my Epicure 1 cup prep bowls here. It has the measurements on the side and it has a silicone lid that I'll show you at the end. And for the measuring, we have our 4-in-1 spoon, which is a perfect size for fitting in the Epicure jars. So you have a tablespoon, a teaspoon, and on the back you've got a 1/2 and a 1/4 teaspoon. So you've got all those right here. They fit perfectly in these narrow jar heads. So I need to do 2 tablespoons. Just try to pull this up. Tons of really fresh scent from the herbs here. And 1 and 2, and I have to combine that with 2 tablespoons of water to soak for a little bit before I add my other ingredients. So just double checking. I'm going to leave it sit for 5 minutes before I add my parmesan. So pouring in my 2 tablespoons, and that just kind of softens the herbs before we add our oil and our cheese into that. So nice and simple. Just going to stir it with the spoon, and then of course I'm gonna have to go rinse this because I need the spoon to make the marinara sauce as well. So this will sit and just get itself ready, and then while we make the marinara, it'll get ready in time for me to be able to finish this off. So herbs off there. Rinse my spoon and get it ready for the next part. Put this off to the side. Be right back. And make sure my spoon's dry so that it works for the next one. So that's the start of our pesto. So they come in same size jars. The other is the marinara. Now the marinara is super simple and you know exactly what's in it, which is what I love about our products. So to make the marinara, all I have to do is put together the spices with a can of diced tomatoes and a can of crushed tomatoes. That's it. And I look for the no salt added for my tomatoes so that I'm not adding a bunch of sodium, but I also know that I'm not really adding sugar. That's the joy of the no salt added, is that usually sugar is not one of the ingredients in there either. So you can pick what you like the best, and then all the herbs are in here for seasoning my pasta sauce. And it's that simple. The one thing I am going to choose to add tonight is the minced garlic. So we have powdered garlics, we have minced garlics, we have herbs that are mixed together. So there's a rosemary garlic that a lot of people seem to like. I'm not a big rosemary fan, but if you do like rosemary, then that's one that's really great on chicken and vegetables. So it's, you can hear it. I think it's a 1/2 teaspoon of this would replace a garlic clove. And so 1 jar is 67 garlic cloves worth. So I like to just sprinkle this on things. And then the marinara is the same as the pesto, that I believe it's just 2 tablespoons, no, it's 3 spoons to make this one. But I've made at least 2 batches and I'm like maybe 2/3 down here. I think this makes about the equivalent of 6 jars of pasta sauce. But if you think about it, you have about 3 cups per can, so we're getting about 6 cups of sauce just from this one batch. Last time I made it on the stove, but this time I'm going to do it in my Instant Pot just to give it a little more time to pressure and meld together, but it can be ready super quickly. So I'm just going to dump in my can of diced tomatoes and my can of crushed tomatoes. Get my spatula over here. So every time you see me using something purple, that's an Epicure product. So this is one of our silicone spatulas here. And just getting everything out of the jar. Don't like to waste anything if I don't have to. And it's really this easy to have my sauce ready and not need to be buying a bunch of jarred sauces that I don't really know what's in them. So now for my seasoning, my marinara. And this, again, so it's a different blend than the pesto. I smell a lot more oregano in this one. This would also work. Actually, this or the pesto, if you're doing a bruschetta, it could just, you can use that with tomatoes and olive oil and make that instead. So 1, 2, and 3. Perfect. So, just get my cap and I'm going to put maybe, just under a teaspoon of the garlic into this, just to give it a little boost because I love garlic. So tons of flavor, no salt being added into this. I'm going to stir it together and then I'm just going to put it in my pressure cooker for like a couple minutes to give it some time. Otherwise, the instructions are just to cook it on the stove for a few minutes. The thing with our food is it's easy to make really quickly, but if you have the time, I highly encourage you to let things cook a little bit longer, or with some of the ingredients that you would add into meat. So like, for example, the donair, if you can mix that into your meat and let it sit in the refrigerator for a little while, it just boosts the flavor that you have at the end, because it just gives more time for those things to combine. So I find this sauce is delicious. I've used it with mozzarella sticks, pasta, and I used to find that I would always be adding different things to my pasta. So adding cheeses and extra garlic, or adding lots of cheese and different things on it. I don't find I need that with the Epicure marinara because there's so much flavor from the freeze-dried herbs that is all that I need. So I'm just going to put this on for probably only like 2 to 3 minutes of pressure. And just testing that basically. So at this point, I think we've had about 5 minutes for our pesto to mix. So it's really just been soaking the water and the herbs together. So now what I need is a 1/4 cup of olive oil and 2 tablespoons of 1 tablespoon of Parmesan. If you want to, or if you have them, you can put 2 tablespoons of chopped pine nuts in this. So far I've only had it with the Parmesan cheese. And if you're vegan, then you can just leave the cheese out and put the pine nuts instead, and you'd still have the herbs. So there's my tablespoon of Parmesan. And I'm going to grab my olive oil. And I need to do a 1/4 of a cup of this. This is how easy it is for me to have 2 sauces ready. So whether I'm just meal prepping for the week, or if I had a picky family and they wanted 2 options for their sauces for dinner, I could have that ready in no time. So my 1/4 cup is being added in there. My little crazy guys in the background. And sink. Mix that up with my and you can either let it sit a little bit or you can just go ahead and use it. And again, there's no salt that's been added to this, so if you want some salt, you can, whatever food you're eating, whether it's pasta or vegetables or meats, you would add your salt to your own plate so that everyone can kind of decide on their own what they want in terms of sodium. So that's what's really nice, is that there isn't a lot of salt in our products, and then everyone can kind of decide on their own, and you're much less likely to add as much sodium as in prepackaged things. So now you can see this is a nice consistency, and I've got a half cup of pesto ready to go, and very soon I will also have about 6 cups of marinara sauce. So that is my demo for right now. I've got some other things that I'll be making either tonight or tomorrow. I'm hoping to make the creamy pesto. I'm going to make it with salmon instead of chicken tomorrow, and I usually like to serve that with butternut squash. Sorry, not butternut squash, spaghetti squash as my noodles, but you could easily make a pasta to go with that. I find the taste of the creamy Parmesan is almost as if you had like the Alfredo sauce and the pesto mixed together. So it's a really nice sauce, and when I had some left over from making the chicken the other time, I actually reused the sauce and used it with salmon, which is why I'm just going to go for it with salmon right away this time. So let me know if you have questions or if there's something in particular that's caught your eye that you'd like to see or know a little bit more about. And that is it for right now. I hope you're having a great evening. Bye.